From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online right now and order your pizza at papajohns.com. Barry, we got 5 questions, about a minute each for that 5 and 5. Let's get right to it. With this one, playoff series against Dallas. Cause for concern for the Thunder?
No cause for concern. In fact, Dallas, along with Phoenix, is the team you most want to play in the first round. Dallas smoked Oklahoma City about 10 days ago here in OKC. Beat the Thunder in overtime the other night. But when the Thunder's playing its normal defense, it can handle Dallas easily. Now, if something happens and Perkins and Cephalosha don't make it back, well, then all bets are off. But when the Thunder's playing any kind of normal defense, the Mavs are no match for OKC.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, it's at this point, any sort of tweak to what is normal for the Thunder, the Mavs have to mentally feel good about that being a potential first-round matchup. Now, it may not happen. The Mavs could fall into a different spot or fall out of the playoffs entirely. But at least on the mental side, you like where the Mavs are, and maybe not as much where the Thunder is. But, you know, I think if you get your defensive guys back, all will be well. But as we saw last year, if you don't have all your guys, sometimes stuff can happen. All right, speaking of a guy that wasn't around last year, Russell Westbrook for the playoffs. Anyway, Russell Westbrook's restrictions are fill in the blank, Barry.
They are silly if you're not going to follow them. It's sort of like airport security or arena security. I'm all for security if you have tough security. Don't just have just sort of play at it. And Russell Westbrook's minute restrictions are fine. But Scotty Brooks didn't stick to it on Tuesday night in Dallas.
And at a weird time, Barry.
And yeah, he sends him back in with 2 minutes left in overtime with the game virtually lost, down 7. I don't understand that. If the limit is 32, stick to the limit. If it's 30, stick to the limit. Whatever it is, stick to it. If you don't have a limit, then let him play at the start of overtime.
Well, I think the restrictions after what we saw in overtime the other night, the restrictions are really just suggestions. They're not hard and fast rules. Nobody's going to call in Scott Brooks to their office, at least we don't think, and say, hey, you played Russell too many minutes. So at this point, that sort of signals to me that Westbrook's, he's just fine. We see the evidence of that on the court. He could probably play back-to-backs and be just fine. So to me, in some ways, it's almost reassuring that he's in a good spot. He's physically going to be okay, which I think we knew. But to me, it signals that all systems are go. This is all just precautionary, just suggestions at this point. Hey, Barry, what about that HBO report? Concerning or much ado about nothing? Remember, this is about academics at big-time schools. OU gets brought into the mix, whether they're giving guys football degrees. What do you make of all this? Well,
are we saying that there are some kids on college campuses who don't belong there? I'm shocked. Here's the deal. If there are these sort of football degrees, if there are majors on college campuses that are illegitimate, that's not a football issue, that's a university issue. What is OU doing having a degree program that's worthless? The answer is, I don't think it is worthless. Gabe Eichard, who is the academic All-American, he's headed to medical school when he gets through blocking NFL nose tackles. Multidisciplinary studies major. Same as Eric Minsick, who said he can't get a good job with that. You make of your degree what you want to. You make of your college experience what you want to. Yes, there are some classes, there are some degrees where football players are shoveled into. However, if they're illegitimate, we need to get rid of them off the college campus, irregardless of how it affects football.
You know, if we're talking about academic misconduct, cheating, people writing papers or taking tests for athletes, that's a whole other story. But to me, if it's a degree question, yeah, the university has to address this. If they're giving out degrees that they don't think lead anywhere, they gotta just cut it. But I think we see this whatever the heck that's called. I need to take a
disciplinary.
I need to take an English class apparently to learn how to talk. But to me, it sounds like at OU, this is a sort of tailor your own degree, essentially. Gabe Eichard, as you mentioned, he gets a degree and he's going to go to med school. So he took classes to get him prepared for med school. And it looks like to me that if you treat it right, it can lead to things that will actually pay off. And I'm not saying that everybody does that. I'm not saying every general student does that either. So yeah, I think if there's a problem at the level of giving degrees that don't lead anywhere, the university has to take care of that. And if they're cheating issues, that's a whole other issue. They'll have to get that figured out in a whole other place. All right, Barry, our fun question of the week. Conscious uncoupling. Anybody you want to consciously uncouple? By the way, we're playing off the news that Gwyneth Paltrow, the actress, and Chris Martin, the frontman for Coldplay, have split, or as they say, they're undergoing a conscious uncoupling. I'm not sure what that means, where that phraseology comes from, but who in sports should have a conscious uncoupling?
Well, I got to say, I never heard of till you sent this to me last night. I'd never heard of this entire phrase. But if you're asking me,
I think they made it up, Barry.
If you're asking me,
nobody ever heard of it.
If you're asking me who should go Splitsville,
yes.
I'll tell you this. How about Jeannie Buss and Phil Jackson? You can't be together if one's a Laker and one's a Knick. It's just not done. So we got Phil Jackson now running the Knickerbockers. We got Jeannie Buss, who ought to be running the Lakers, but sort of isn't because of her goofy brother. That sounds to me like a total mess. It sounds to me like they need to split up. Frankly, Phil Jackson probably needs somebody that's a little bit of a out there girl. I understand that Gwyneth Paltrow is available.
Out there talking about conscious uncoupling. She's out there. Right. Okay. Well, that's an option, Phil. There you go. I bet she's in New York too. There's a good chance there's some geography going on there. I'm going to take a little more serious tact, and I'm going to say the Redskins moniker and the NFL. They need to be Splitsville. I know that's a little more serious topic, but come on. Are we 2014 and we're still talking about the Redskins and the NFL? Consciously uncouple, folks. Come on. All right, Barry, what about this one? Kelvin and Houston. Kelvin Sampson sounds like the leading candidate for the job at the University of Houston. Good fit?
I think it's a good fit. Now, I personally think if Kelvin wants to get back in the college game, I think there's even better fits. Marquette, Wake Forest, who knows what else. But I think Houston's a good fit too. Houston's now in the American Conference, good solid basketball league with Connecticut, Cincinnati, Memphis. I mean, it's going to be tough basketball. Kelvin likes coaching at sort of an underdog. He sort of likes coaching at a place where it's not royalty. He thought he would like it at Indiana. Turned out it to be a mess. He used to talk about how he liked sort of the grit and grind of a place like Washington State. Houston's not an easy job, but a lot of talent around Houston. He can get guys to play defense. I think it would be a good fit.
Yeah, I do too. I think it would be a really good fit. And he wouldn't have to sell his house in Houston where he's an assistant coach with the Rockets. It'd be perfect. But yeah, you know what? I think Wake's an interesting option. Now, Wake is a private school, and are they willing to take a chance on a coach who has a history, who'd been on restrictions through the NCAA? I don't know. But I think in that league, talk about underdog role. That is an underdog role right there at Wake. So I like him going to Houston because I think he could recruit in Texas really well, but I think he's got some options. And, it's just going to be interesting who wants to take a chance on him because I think he could be successful at a lot of these places that have openings. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.